Australopithecus afarensis. In the 70s, multiple teams of archaeologists discovered the fossils of this species around the same time. One team was in Hadar, Ethiopia, led by Donald Johansen, and the other was 1,500 kilometers in another direction in Laetoli, Tanzania. There were a few specimens that are important to this species. The first fossil found of this species was found in Ethiopia and gave evidence that our ancestors had been walking on two legs for more than 3 million years. It was a knee dated to 3.4 million years old. Finding this made Donald Johansen and his team come back to Ethiopia in 1974 when they ended up finding the most famous fossil they would discover. The specimen they found was dated to 3.2 million years ago. It is the most famous because it was almost a complete skeleton and was named Lucy after the Beatles song, catching on with the pop culture of the time. The type specimen and official representation of this species, though, was found by Mary Leakey's team in Tanzania in 1974. Reading through the discoveries of these species, I have to say my favorite was when they found the first family in Ethiopia in 1975. This discovery contained the fossils of 9 adults and 4 children. Not only does this give more insight to the physical structure of the species, but it kind of paints a picture for the family bonds that were happening throughout the lifetimes and the pack-like behavior. This kind of helps put in place the fossil observations and lets us imagine how they live daily and throughout their lifetime. According to the Australian Museum studies and exhibits on the species, the brain was small, averaging approximately 430 cubic centimeters and comprised about 1.3% of their body weight, along with the knee that they found, showing us for the first time about us walking on 2 legs for over 3 million years. Other parts of the fossil also indicated interesting movement. They had arched feet, 5 toes in a line, wide heels, and enlarged knees, just like us. But at the same time, they had long forearms and short thigh bones, indicating movement we currently associate with primates. This is an interesting mix, utilizing the components of movement that we find worth noting in more descending species than just us as humans. Their anatomy shows us they were very versatile in getting around and using the environment to their advantage. They could pick stones up to use as they need and could also move around the ground and in the treetops. According to the Australian Museum and microscopic analysis of their teeth, they ate mostly fruits and leaves, chewing with their front teeth most of the time. They had the capacity to chew larger and harder things like meat, but whether it wasn't bountiful or they didn't really prefer, they were mostly herbivores. Along with what they ate, their rib cage suggests that they have a large stomach. This means they probably had to eat as much as they could when the food was around. The environment around them at the time may not have been conducive to eating a lot in one place. They probably had to keep moving and search for food. Along with this, the teeth of the males and females were relatively the same size, a trait that isn't common in many other primates. This could mean that they didn't need to have large teeth to rip meat. And they also could have been nomadic, exploring with their efficient mobility. At the same time, the males being larger, perhaps expected to be more mobile and search for food more. and the females on the more smaller side, but having similar shaped teeth as the males to eat the same kind of foods, and the same structure in the body, so they could still move around a lot.